Good morning. My name is Joanne Iwamoto, and I am the Monterey County Cannabis Program Manager, and I would like to welcome and thank the members of the press for being here today. The Cannabis Program is a unit within the County Administrative Office. We collaborate between 9 county departments, the local fire agencies, the Department of Cannabis Control, and many other external partners. Our focus is to provide a local framework for leadership and management of our commercial cannabis industry. We address regulation, policy, compliance, taxation, and education, and while we remain focused on the protection of the health, environment, and the safety of our communities. Our cannabis industry has 113 business operators. Most of them are cultivators, and most are located south of Salinas. The industry cultivates 4.8 million square feet of commercial cannabis. That equates to approximately 112 acres. We have 7 retail dispensaries in the unincorporated area of Monterey County, but overall in the county there are 21 retail businesses. In the fall of 2020, the program, together with the District Attorney, the Sheriff's Office, and the Bureau of Public Health, was awarded a grant through the Board of State and Community Corrections. This Prop 64 grant award of $1 million spans over 3 years. The focus of the grant is to improve and coordinate between county departments to address the unlicensed cannabis industry and market, and to increase public education and community outreach. The Sheriff and District Attorney offices have embarked and have made remarkable efforts to reduce the unlicensed cannabis industry here in our county. Since 2019, they have eradicated over 50 tons of unlicensed cannabis plants and products. And now it is my pleasure to introduce District 3 Board of Supervisor Chris Lopez.
Thank you, Joanne. Good morning, everybody. I'm County Supervisor Chris Lopez, representing the 3rd District. I'm also the chair of the Cannabis Committee for Monterey County. We're here this morning to talk a little bit about an industry that's fairly new to Monterey County, but has its roots deep in our communities. Growing product of any sort in the ground or in soil is what we do here. It's agriculture in its own form. But as we have an industry coming out of the shadows, we've worked really hard to make sure that everything that happens under the banner of this particular product is done safely for the community. For those reasons, we've always focused on making sure that the growth happens in areas where we can closely monitor that product and the way that it gets placed throughout our communities. Early on in the days before a lot of the policies that are currently in place were there, we were fighting to make sure that our communities were kept safe as illegal growth sprung up in the hills throughout southern Monterey County, negatively impacting communities' access to water as well as quality of life with noise and music at all hours. What we've been able to do here is create a very professional industry that works hand in glove with the county to make sure that everything that needs to happen to protect the public is done in a serious way, in a way that's completely transparent. This industry has done more for us and as a community during the pandemic than most others, and the reason I say that is the taxation that Monterey County levies on growers within the legal market produced the ability to bolster departments and programs, and during the pandemic, including bringing PPE to our communities, as well as supplying money to the food bank to make sure that our neighbors most in need were actually receiving some of that benefit. As we look forward, we know that there's challenges on the horizon, but that doesn't mean that we can turn our backs on making sure that everything done within this space is legal and done in a way that protects public safety. The work that's being done under this grant is critical to make sure that the public is aware of what happens when product is not taken through the legal means into the market and sold in a way that is transparent to the public, transparent to industry, transparent to government. And so today we're going to hear some new data that is real, that is local, that is ground truth here in Monterey County. So as much as we look at state statistics and folks can throw reports at you, to know what's happening here within our community is so much more important. That transparency provides real on-the-ground facts. And so I'm thankful to all the partners who are making this data available to us, who put in the work to make sure that our community is protected and kept safe. Again, I want to thank the DA, thank the sheriff, and thank all of the partners, including the cannabis program at the county and industry, who've been great partners to get us to this point where we can share real facts about what's happening in Monterey County. And with that, I'd like to introduce our DA, Janine Paccioni.
Good morning. Thank you for being here today. In 2016, California voters passed Proposition 64, permitting adults 21 and older to possess and grow specified amounts of cannabis for recreational use. Additionally, under Prop 64, counties were given the power to regulate commercial activities regarding cannabis within their own jurisdictions. Today, Monterey County is one of 31 counties in California to allow licensed commercial cannabis. As we are in the early stages of post-prohibition era for cannabis, we've clearly learned that for the legal cannabis market to succeed, the illegal and unregulated market must be reduced. Illegal cannabis businesses have an unfair competitive advantage in the cannabis industry. They don't pay taxes, they don't pay for license fees or costs, and they don't test their cannabis products for consumer safety. It is with this background and understanding that we developed my cannabis enforcement team strategy within the district attorney's office with the collaboration of my prosecutor, Greg Peterson, and his investigators, Oliver Minig, and Leo Gomez, thank you. My strategy has sought to advance fair competition in the emerging licensed cannabis industry, strategically utilizing civil, criminal, and other legal processes to disrupt unfair and unlicensed business practices. While our enforcement efforts have helped to eradicate over 50 tons of illegal cannabis from the streets since 2019, eradication, civil penalties, and criminal prosecutions simply are not enough. We collectively must do more. One way to do more is to educate on the hazards associated with consuming unregulated cannabis. That is why we are here today. Over the past year, investigators from my office, in joint operations with multiple state and local agencies, have sampled and collected cannabis samples from unlicensed cultivations, manufacturers, and distributors. Using funds provided by Proposition 64 grant, investigators from my office took those samples to state licensed laboratories to test them according to the same testing standards that are required for licensed cannabis distributors. The results of that compliance testing are revealing and compelling, and we officially announce them today for 2021. The results drive home a simple point. If you buy and consume cannabis from the black market, there is a high likelihood you are ingesting contaminated cannabis. During our 55 cannabis samples tested this year, 84% failed compliance testing according to legal industry standards. 58% of those samples failed in total or in part based on water activity or mold. 42% failed based in total or in part on the presence of heavy metals, and 37% failed because in total or part based on the presence of pesticides. Laboratory testing also revealed hazardous microbial activity, including salmonella in one case. Throughout 2022 and 2023, my office will continue to partner with our other agencies in our enforcement efforts aimed at creating a fair and competitive cannabis market in Monterey County. We will continue to seize and eradicate all unregulated hazardous cannabis, and we will continue to test cannabis to ensure that those that we obtain are compliant with the industry standards. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Brian Acevedo with the Environmental Health Bureau.
Brian Acevedo, Monterey County Environmental Health. Products from the illicit market are not tested as according to the data provided by DA that 84% have failed, and a lot of the items tested are requirements that the state imposes on the legal market. With that said, a lot of the items grown in the illicit market are essentially unknowns and are not approved for human consumption. Thank you.
So this concludes our press conference for today, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.